Hey, hi, hello. My name is Thomason, and today I will be going over my July wrap up and my August TBR. So as you guys all know, I'm pretty new to YouTube. I've joined the BookTube community, and for all of you who have welcomed me with open arms, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be a part of this community now. Ever since I made my first video, I've been wondering, how do I want to structure this? Do I just want to go with the flow? Do I want to be deliberate in how I make each video? For the most part, Wednesdays and Fridays will be days that I drop YouTube videos. Fridays will usually be a more fun kind of video. I mean, it's Friday, like we all want to have fun on Friday and just relax for the weekend. So Fridays will be tags, tier rankings, challenges, anything that's basically fun. Wednesdays will be more along the lines of what I'm doing now, like a wrap up, TBR, vlog, maybe an in-depth analysis of something. Wednesdays will be for the cool stuff that's like more nerdy and more informative, and then the Fridays will be fun and super geeky and super like celebratory. Let me know if you guys think that kind of structure is good or not. Anyway, without further ado, for today's video, I'm going to be discussing what I read in July and kind of give you an idea of what I want to read for August. I'm not gonna lie, July was kind of a flop, but you know, it's okay. We all have different rates of reading things. Stuff happens in life sometimes and we get distracted by our adulting. I think that I did pretty good. My Goodreads challenge that I've been doing, I'm already over halfway through and I'm like 4 books ahead, so I've kind of given myself a break from reading too much, but I definitely want to get back into reading at a faster pace because there's just so many books I want to read, and there's only 6 months left in the year, and at the same time I'm trying not to make it like a chore, but I do want to get a lot of books that I have on my shelf read. I will be starting off with what I read this month. First book I read, I started at the end of June, I believe, but that book was A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. In a future video, when I talk about my favorite authors, favorite series, Sarah J. Maas and her Maas verse will absolutely be mentioned. And I'll go more in depth as to how I found out about Sarah J. Maas, how I found her books out. I've read every book of hers except for the Crescent City books and this one. I've been a fan for so long, and so I waited for this book for so long, and when it finally came, I just had other things to do, other things to read. It's one of those cases where like you're waiting on an anticipated release and it took a really long time. You just got, you know, tired of waiting, and then like when it comes, it's like you have to be in the right mood to read it. I also was concerned if I would remember events in the ACOTAR world. Luckily, due to a friend, she has wanted to talk so much about the things that happened in this book that were spoilery, and just the way that I talked about it, she was like, honestly, I think you'll be fine. I think you'll be okay. And she was right. Like, I remembered most of the basic stuff I needed to remember. Sarah kind of recapped certain events. It flowed with the story pretty well. I went into this book so excited to finally read Nesta's story and see how her and Cassian would end up together, and it was such a wonderful, beautiful book about healing and about growth, about overcoming your own traumas and facing up to who you've become and the people you've hurt. Nesta's character arc in this book is incredible, and the way she learns to hone her trauma into her life and find purpose again, and also just heal and reflect. It made the journey so worthwhile to see like her grow, how hard it was for her. One thing I love about it, about stories like this, is you see the struggle. Now, obviously we hate when characters suffer. A character like Nesta, you see all the work she's put through, how hard it is for her, her perspective, you know, and she's not perfect, she makes mistakes, she can be a little bit of a mean person, but you know, just it made the journey so worthwhile. Cassian dynamic with her, it was amazing. It was a 5-star read and I just cried. It was just so good, and it was such an incredible good start to the next arc of the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, and I'm looking forward to seeing where Sarah takes us next with these characters. Unfortunately, I was spoiled for something in Crescent City, so I kind of have an idea, but you know, I'm looking forward to seeing whose book will be next. Will it be Elaine's? Will it be Moore's? Who will it be? And like, how will that continue the storylines that she hasn't finished yet? But this was a really good book, and I love this edition. It's the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. I love the original cover too, but it just, I don't know. The silver and the gray, it's just, I don't know. It fits it. Silver Flames. But yeah, this was a 5-star read for me, and I love Sarah J. Maas, and I don't feel like she could do any wrong. The next book I read is one that I'd heard of, another author that I'll probably be talking about in a future video that I mentioned in the last video, as well as Sarah J. Maas, was Samantha Shannon, and she's an incredible queer fantasy writer. Huge inspiration for me in my writing, and also just love her writing and like how she tells a story. And she's recommended a lot of good fantasy that has that representation but also has complex, interesting stories. She recommended The Final Strife by Saara El-Arifi, and she's been on my radar, and this is her first book. I'm not gonna lie though, the first 100 pages almost made me want to not continue. I was coming off fresh from the high of A Court of Silver Flames, and I'm like, ugh. It's one of those cases where a writer is info dumping too much. Now, sometimes that's necessary in the sense of getting the reader to like understand the way the world works, the environment, the politics, the economy, the world building, all of that, you know. It's fine, but when you do it too much and it feels like you're just constantly bombarded with information after information after information after information, you kind of get whiplash. It pulls you out of the story a little bit. Luckily, the character of Sila was intriguing enough, and I also was interested to see where the story went, so I just pushed through. And the first 100 pages I think were necessary to understand the dynamic of the world. Perhaps on a reread I will feel differently about the first 100 pages now that I know kind of how the world works, but overall it ended up being a 5-star read. It's such a wonderful book. This series is based off of Ghanaian and African mythology. I need to look into how exactly it's inspired by it. Envision the world to be like a Middle Eastern, African kind of empire. In this world exist people who have different blood colors. Dusters, which have blue blood, ghostings, which have clear blood, and embers, which have red blood. And obviously the embers are the most esteemed and the highest. The dusters, ghostings, who are basically slaves and indentured servants. And with all those blood types in mind, this story explores 3 different people with 3 different blood types and how they navigate it, and it also explores the Warden's empire and how it's structured and how biased and prejudiced they are towards these people. And there are 4 different types of Wardens who cover 4 different core aspects that they believe in: truth, knowledge, duty, and strength. Sila, Anur, and Hassa, which are the 3 main POV characters, details the beginning of their story and how they aim to change the empire. Sila came from a past where she was essentially abused but also militarized to become a person who would compete in these trials to become a disciple of strength so that she could be the next Warden of Strength and basically change and revolutionize the Warden's empire and take it down and make it into something more sustainable for the other blood colors. The plot is very intricate and complex, and I could try to explain it to you beyond that, but I think this book is a really good book, and it's a promising start to a series that I think will focus on gentrification, totalitarian government, racism, prejudice, discrimination against certain classes. It had a very interesting type of magic system which was centered around blood, but luckily it didn't come off icky and it didn't like feel like self-harm type of stuff that they were doing to use the blood magic. It was very interesting in how it was developed. I'd give it 4.5, but I rounded it up to a 5-star because it was overall good, and I felt like it was a 5-star read at the end. But it was a pretty good book, and I do recommend it if you like anything similar to Samantha Shannon or anything like that. So that concludes my wrap up for July, and now I will be showing you my TBR for August. The first book is a book I'm currently reading, and that is the sequel to The Final Strife called The Battle Drum. As soon as I finished The Final Strife, I had to start this book. I had gotten to the point where I was like so invested in the world and the characters, and then, you know, the way it ends, I'm just like, what? So I had to start, and I'm already like over 100 pages through, so I think I'll be done with it by the end of this week, hopefully. It's really good so far. I'm liking how the world is expanded. Even though it's picking up storylines and plot lines that came from the previous book, it's just developing it into something totally different, but it's still the same story, and just, oh, it's so good. It's so good. I'm so excited. And I recently saw on the author's Instagram that she submitted the initial draft for the 3rd book. Hopefully we get that by next year because this one just came out. I'm just so excited to see where it goes. And this is Anur on the cover, and she's really pretty, and Sila was on this cover, so I'm thinking Hassa will probably be on the 3rd cover. I love when books kind of have an aesthetic, cohesive design to their covers, and it's so pretty, and I'm just looking forward to seeing where this story goes, and I know I'm gonna be like dying for the third book. The next book that I'm currently reading while reading The Battle Drum is the collected works of Oscar Wilde. I have wanted to read this man's literature, poetry, whatever he wrote for so long, and I mean so long. I'm in a British lit class for this semester, and we had to read The Importance of Being Earnest, which, as you can see, I put so many tabs for it, and I just decided, why not? I've already read The Importance of Being Earnest, and I want to know more about this man. I've just always been drawn to him, even through his quote, like, about life imitating art, which imitates life. You know, he's just such an enigmatic figure historically, and he's just so renowned for his writing and his style, and it's really sad how he died in the homophobia and basically exile and prejudice that he faced in his time, and I'm so drawn to him. Like, I feel like a part of my soul just like resonates with him and always has. So far I'm liking his writing, and I'm looking forward to seeing like the rest of his poetry, short stories, fiction, and then I also plan on reading The Picture of Dorian Gray, but I also saw that there was an uncensored Picture of Dorian Gray, so I think I'll be doing that read sometime this year to compare the two, the original and then the uncensored edition. Definitely excited to see where that goes. The next book I will be reading is a long overdue reread, and it will be anticipation of the upcoming film adaptation, and that is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I met Casey McQuiston. They were super cool. I'd already read all their books, and I got all of them signed. This one signed and personalized as well, and I am just so excited to reread this. Honestly, I did not initially plan on rereading this. I debated it. Ultimately, for some reason, right before I started filming this video, I had to. I don't know why. I need to do it. When there's an upcoming film adaptation of a book I've already read that I haven't read in a while, I just love to re-experience that book and then go into the theater, or if it's, in this case, streaming, I like to just re-experience it and then be able to compare that with my fresh memory of the book to the final product of the adaptation. It's looking like it's a good film adaptation. It's got Uma Thurman in it. The two leads look a lot like Alex and Henry, and I just remember loving this so much. And I'm also excited to get this looking kind of bent up, because my other two Casey McQuiston books look a little worn and loved and read, and this one is still pretty new because I didn't read this edition. I took the one that I read from the library, but I'm just so excited to re-experience this, and it's such a good story about true love and politics, but in a way that's kind of political. But to me, the political aspect of it works, especially because the main characters are literally the first son and the Prince of England. So I don't know, it works to me, but I love the themes and I love the characters, and I'm looking to re-explore Alex and Henry's story, and I'm so excited to see how the movie ends up too. I have a feeling it'll be good, but we'll see. Next set of books, similarly to Red, White, and Royal Blue, are in celebration of the upcoming release of another iconic gay story, and I'm so excited. In anticipation for tomorrow's release of Heartstopper Season 2, I will be reading the following books by Alice Oseman. First book that I have chosen to read in the Oseman verse is I Was Born for This. This focuses on Jimmy and Angel. Jimmy is a trans-masculine celebrity, part of a fictional band called The Ark, and they are dealing with the newfound levels of fame. Jimmy's dealing with his anxiety and just being thrust in the public sphere, whereas Angel is a huge fan of The Ark. She and her friend that she met online are going to see them on tour. It sounds, based off of the description, like it's going to be a book about fandom and about culture, and especially how there are parasocial relationships with a lot of celebrities and fandoms, and also just, you know, the different aspects of those relationships. And it also seems like it's going to be coming of age. But the thing about Alice Oseman, they have a way of making good commentary and just adding different elements and different diverse topics such as mental health, LGBTQIA+ awareness, and all those things, and making it modernized but also raising light to very important questions and topics. I'm looking forward to reading this. The next book I will be reading is Solitaire. I have been wanting to read this book for so long. When Alice Oseman first announced that they were going to be re-releasing all of their books in this design, I had to start getting all of them to own them, but also so they would have a consistent cover design, and it looks so amazing. This one is about Tori Spring. She is actually the sister of Charlie Spring, who's the main character in Heartstopper. I believe this is set during Heartstopper, after Heartstopper, one or the other. It deals with very important, controversial themes. I believe the original book is a lot more brutal and grotesque in its depiction of mental health. Tori is dealing with suicidal ideations and just depression and just, you know, questioning her identity and coming of age in brutal environment. She falls in love with Michael Holden, I believe his name is. I'm sorry if I butchered his name, but I'm really looking forward to Tori's story. I don't even want to say she's a background character. Like, she's a character and she technically is a background character, but she's so iconic in both the graphic novel and the Netflix adaptation that I don't see her as a side character. I don't see her as a background character. I see her as a character. It's not her spotlight right now, so I'm looking forward to seeing how Tori's story pans out and also how maybe that'll enhance my understanding of the Oseman verse, but also of the Heartstopper storyline. Love this cover, it's so pretty. Next, I'll be reading Nick and Charlie, which is a novella which focuses on, obviously, Nick and Charlie from Heartstopper. I think it focuses on the aspects of their relationship and how it might change with the upcoming conflict of Nick deciding where to go to university and if it's going to be long distance. And I'm just so excited to see this short story. I love the cover and I love it. And I also have, barely see it, but I have a reversible poster. I haven't shown it, but I also have a huge poster with this side, so I already love this just based on the cover. And Nick and Charlie, I love Nick and Charlie. Finally, I'll be reading the Heartstopper Yearbook, which it's self-explanatory. It's just basically information about Heartstopper. I think it has bonus sketches, bonus comics, bonus information that's provided by Alice Oseman, and I'm just so excited. I feel like it's right to finally have caught up to all of her books that I've read and then read this last to prepare for reading this winter and Heartstopper Volume 5, which comes out later this year. And I'll also be getting the Radio Silence new cover, but I've already read Radio Silence. Radio Silence was actually the first one I read, and then I read Loveless. So this will be the last one that I can catch up on for now. I'm excited for all of these books to see how the Oseman verse, you know, expands, and also just the continuation of Charlie and Nick's story, but also like seeing her process of like creativity and also drawing and creating this story that's beloved by so many and has just made such an iconic impression on LGBTQ literature and young adult literature itself. And I'm just so excited to see the fun part of this and save it for last to wait for this winter and Heartstopper Volume 5's imminent release. The last set of books that I'm going to be showing you today will be continuing my fantasy rampage that I'm going on right now. These books were also recommended by Samantha Shannon, and I'm so excited. I initially wanted to read these right after I finished the Battle Drum, but with all these contemporaries that I'm needing to catch up on, I really want to save these for when I finish the books and stuff that I want to read in preparation for releases and just being caught up on different things. So the first half of the last set of books that I'll be showing for you today are The Unbroken and The Faithless by C.L. Clarke. These two books are the first two books of a fantasy trilogy called Magic of the Lost. I don't know much about it. Like, I've read what this one is about, and obviously this one's going to continue this one's story. I've heard really good things. It's basically about another empire similarly to the final Strife. However, it's very distinctive and different, and focuses on two of the female leads who I believe are sapphic and love interests, and their desire to overtake and save the empire, but also take down the emperor, who I believe one of the female protagonists' uncle is who's on the throne. It just seems like it's a really good story. I'm curious to see how exactly the fantasy and magic in this world is, and I'm also looking forward to the dynamics between Shireen and Luca, who are on each cover in a sapphic slow burn romance, it's sounding like. And I love the covers. They look so cool and they look badass, and it just seems like it's a promising start to a really good fantasy trilogy. And I believe the third book may come out next year. I'm not quite sure. I'm so excited to see this and see how it pans out. The second half of this last set of books that I'll be showing for you today is The Jasmine Throne and The Oleander Sword by Tasha Suri. Similarly to the previous two series that I showed you that were fantasy, this one was also recommended by Samantha Shannon. Y'all can tell I have a Samantha Shannon obsession and a Samantha Shannon problem. This seems to be focusing more on Middle Eastern, Indian, Arab-based fantasy, and it sounds so interesting. I don't know much about it, but all I know is one of them is also an heir to the throne or royalty, and it seems to be a slow burn sapphic, and I'm just so curious. Its map was very interesting, and I'm just curious to see like how this story pans out. And I don't know, I've read the description, but I'm also trying not to read too much into it because I kind of want to be surprised and see for myself how the story pans out and like how the magic works, what exactly the plot is, but also like how these two characters, you know each other and how they fall in love and how that further channels their motives for whatever they're trying to do, because I honestly don't understand it. Like, I think it'll leave me by surprise, because sometimes the best books that you find out reading, the best book experiences come from not knowing too much about the plot. Definitely excited to seeing this and being pretty much for the most part caught up on my Samantha Shannon recommendation fantasy list, but I'm definitely excited to see these, and these definitely will come right after The Magic of the Lost. That concludes today's video. I'm so excited to read all of those books. I honestly don't know how I'm going to read all of those books in this month, but I just will make it a reality. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like, leave a comment, share what your July wrap-up is, or the last few books you've read, or what you're planning to read, what you're reading now. Were they good? Were they bad? Did you like them? Did you hate them? Were you indifferent towards them? Comment anything and feel free to share your thoughts, share your own opinion, and I will see you on Friday. I think I'll be doing a tier ranking video. I'm so excited. I've wanted to do a tier ranking video for so long. And then I believe the next week I will be doing a reading vlog for you guys. I'm going to try that out. I've never done it before, but I think I'll start a reading vlog for you guys on next Wednesday. And then next Friday, I believe that I will be doing another tag. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come back for more. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel, and know that I love you so much. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you again. Bye! Thumbnail time. Thumbnail time. I have so many books. Let's see if I can do this. This really does not look as easy as other people make it. This is hard, guys. This is hard. Ugh, it's heavy. It's so heavy. Oh my god. This is so chaotic. Oh, this is a lot easier than it. Oh, no. Ugh. Oh my god. I am asking to die. Oh, I can't breathe. Oh.